started this yet?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
there's
No.
what does,
I don't know if I want to.
I don't remember what, I don't.
Why
so-
not?
I don't know if everybody wants to listen to it.
Why would we?
Would
Yes,
you
we
write a- would you
do.
write
This, we want to hear, we
a
want to know.
presentation?
Yeah, we
She, memory, things, her
They,
memories.
she's been
writing
wanting
down.
me to write a book, and I
I
can't.
don't, I don't want you to write a
That would
book.
be a
Well,
great
No, you
I
don't-
did
you don't
not
have
write
to-
my
Yeah,
story,
you don't have to
okay.
write a book.
Well,
but
I
you
don't
could
mean
work
that,
with
but
someone
right,
else to
but
write
you
a
know,
book.
I get it, your dad sent me 2 books, and I have filled out pages here, and filled out pages here, and filled
Yeah.
out pages here,
Yeah,
and then when I wanna pull it all together,
Yeah.
I don't pull it together.
Did
Yeah.
you talk to Emily about this?
Now,
Maybe she could help you
Yes.
write
Well,
it.
you got several
I-
pages here, why not
Actually, I
start with what
decided
you
if
have?
you wanted me to do this, if you don't, and if it's silly, tell me to shut
No,
up, okay?
it's not. You are,
But
you are
I'm-
our favorite mother.
I'm going to
We
start.
wanna hear it.
Now, it all began on February 1st, 1930, when Dorothy and Cleo welcomed their first boy, Charles Howard. 3 years later, on May 8, 1933, Laura and McConnell Hawk welcomed their first daughter, Barbara Jean. For information before and between then and 1953, please consult my many attempts to write my book. Okay, sometimes the beginning of February in 1953, Barbara was in the bus stop terminal in Seattle, Washington, on her way to Oak Harbor, where she lived with her parents and 2 brothers, Bob and Richard. She saw a former classmate in Navy uniform, Bert Best, went to greeted him, and he introduced her to 2 buddies, one being Charles Ludwig. They were being transferred to Oak Harbor NAS. A few days later, Bert called and invited Barbara out. And then Chuck called and invited her out. Then the 3rd guy called, and Barbara went out with Bert first, and when it was time to go out with Chuck, her mother said, "These guys are pulling something on you." So I went in and washed my hair, and had it wet, and of course we didn't have hair dryers, okay, I'm kinda ad-libbing here a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, he called, he was waiting for me to come, cause he didn't have a car. And the line was sizzling, I mean, he was very frustrated. So he still wanted to go out, so made a date with him, went the next week. My mother took me and picked me up, because he still didn't have a car. Very shortly thereafter, he got a car, and he was at our house for dinner, unless he had duty. And we were going together, and Mom said, if you have any doubts about him, ask him to go to church. So I did, and we went to church. And shortly after that, we went to a movie, and he stopped and bought some,
Rings?
Cracker Jacks.
no, the little lifesavers, okay? I'm not doing well tonight. Anyway, we get in the movie, and he reached over and took my hand and slipped something on it, and I think why is he putting a lifesaver on my hand? And I look, and he's put an engagement ring on my hand. And I kissed him, and then he left, because he did not like public display. Oh, anyway, we went and had Coke and listened to music, and they were playing, I wrote it down. Oh, this is terrible.
No,
It's
it's
fine.
fine. It's
Oh,
good.
Anyway, Side by Side.
Oh, okay.
So that was our song. We were still ragged and funny many years later. Okay. Then we moved into housing right off the base when we got married. It was nice, but I had an ectopic pregnancy, which I will tell you guys, with all this stuff of wanting to have birth controls, if you lived in the state of Missouri and you had what I had, none of you would be here. Because I went to the doctor, and he said this is what it was. Come back tomorrow. It was on a weekend because I was in so much pain. And my mother said, I want you to go see this other doctor, a civilian doctor. And we went, and he said, I just let it go. And we went back to the Navy doctor, and he didn't look at me. He looked at my husband, and he said, if that was my wife, she would be upstairs getting ready for surgery, because if that tube breaks, she's going to be dead. You know, so you're not talking about when, and Ann was married on June 5th, my mother's 40th birthday, and Chuck's mom came. We were married in a Quonset hut. That was the base chapel at that time. They were building
And
a
those,
chapel.
and those pictures are on
Yeah.
my Facebook
Yeah.
page under albums.
The chaplain said, if you wanna wait, you can be married in
She
the
wants to
chapel,
write
and
the
we
book.
didn't wanna wait.
Didn't wanna wait, so once it had it was.
She wants to write a book.
No, she really.
Okay, well,
And enjoy.
we moved to Anacortes to a tiny 3-room apartment.
Oh, okay.
You're not wrong.
That was on Washington.
There's probably
was that
several
that was
movies
in
in
Washington?
Yeah.
Anacortes.
Anacortes,
It wasn't
yeah.
on Woodby Island, was it?
No, that was
Okay.
on Anacortes, Woodby Island.
You were you married on Woodby Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go,
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing to write there.
Anyway, the apartment we lived in was the kitchen was about this size. The living room had a chair on this side and a couch on this side and a place for a TV, and you could walk through to the bedroom, which had a bed on this side.
That's
And that
it.
took up the room.
Tiny house
A
before its
tiny-
time. Before
A
its
tiny
time.
house before its time. And we shared a bathroom with another couple that was an older couple and very nice. And we were there until January 1954, and Chuck was deployed to Kwajalein Island to help with recovery of material from testing the military did with hydrogen bomb. Did you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They blew
I do know about hydrogen
But-
bombs, but yeah, I didn't know that he was
And
there.
a side
doing
note to
that.
this, that I just listened to a thing about World War II,
Mhm.
and Japanese had a really terrible prison on Kwajalein Island. But anyway, when Chuck came home, he came home and told me about him eating dogs. That was the first time I heard of anybody eating dogs.
Oh, no, Rico, cover your ears.
Yeah, Rico's sleeping more good.
So at this
Good.
point, okay,
Yeah.
so at this point you've gotten married, and you had the two, and you had why were you where were you living when you had the pregnant?
In the first apartment. But
I know, but in Washington
Yeah,
still? Okay,
yeah,
all right.
and-
That was I was
In
kind of.
Anacortes. No, not Anacortes, but, oh,
It'll come to
I
me.
can't think, yeah, it'll come to me, but I can't.
But you
think.
were in Washington
Yeah,
State when you
yeah.
had the ectopic pregnancy. Okay.
What
that-
time do
okay.
you have to pick up Debbie? Or is she
She's gonna
call?
let me know.
Okay.
Anyway, when he came back, I moved out of the apartment while he was gone and stayed with my folks. And when he came back, we got another apartment with the same lady, but the old couple moved out and we got the bigger apartment.
Okay, so did you still have to share a bathroom?
Huh?
Did you
But,
still
yeah,
share a
we shared a
bathroom?
bathroom, and our apartment had the living room and the bedroom on the front, and you came across the hall, and there was a dining room and a kitchen.
Okay.
And then at the end of the hall was the bathroom.
So how did the other people access the bathroom? Did they have two doors?
No, there was only one. You went
Okay.
down the hall to the bathroom. And
Okay.
actually, the lady that we rented from had a nursing home, and she'd gotten older and had kept, I think, two ladies in her downstairs apartment.
Okay.
But the upstairs where we were had really been
Hmm.
a nursing home part.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, I'm not. Oh, and then my dad got your dad an Irish setter, and we couldn't
Oh.
live there.
Okay.
What was that?
I said, my dad got your dad an Irish setter.
Okay.
So
Wow.
we moved, and
Okay.
we moved into a little tiny house, and I don't know why, I really hated it. But we stayed there for a short time and then ended up in a motel apartment that was close to the base. And we were there for a little while, and during this time I was pregnant with you. Anyway, we ended up finding a little rock house that we one bedroom little, almost normal house, you know.
Okay.
Another tiny
Did you
home.
rent it?
We rented that.
Okay.
and that was, and the guy that introduced me had gotten married after we did,
Burt Best.
Burt Best,
Okay.
and we became really good friends. The guys used to go fishing, and she and I walked and did the girl things. Anyway, and they actually moved into the apartment we moved out of when he went to Kwajalein.
Okay.
And when we ended up over in Oak Harbor's where we were, that finally is coming to me, they lived in Navy housing, and we were real close to them with this house we were in, so we used to walk back and forth, and
Okay.
they had a little girl by that time, and she was expecting, and I was expecting him, and we used to, do the things that young people do, play pinochle or do cheap things. We didn't have much money, that's for sure. Oh. Okay, I kind of covered in July 18th, 1955.
Oh, that sounds
We
familiar.
welcomed Gary Outland into our lives. In August, Chuck got out of the Navy. Bert did also. He and Shirley moved back to the east side of Washington State. And Chuck, Gary, and I visited my parents. We picked up my brother Bob and headed for California. We went to visit my grandma and my Aunt Zeve and her family, and on to Sacramento to Aunt Irene's and her family to leave Bob there with them, and he went to college from there. And from there we headed to Marion, Ohio, where we thought Chuck would go to work for his dad. When we got there, it wasn't something he felt would work for him, and he decided to go back in the Navy. He went to Washington, D.C. for his induction. We had bought a 32 by 8 mobile home. He came back from D.C. on Friday night. On Sunday, we had the mobile home hooked up behind a Studebaker, which I might tell you was too small to pull a mobile home.
Oh, that's kind
I
of
can
small.
imagine.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, anyway.
All of a whopping 75 horsepower, probably.
Wow.
It was,
Don't go up too big of a steep of a hill with that.
right, we went back to Washington D.C. and traffic around Washington D.C.
It's a
in those
mess.
days was 2 lanes, okay?
Right.
And the trailer park is on the left,
Mm-hmm.
and we're coming down. He's gotta get across. God only knows
Oh,
how we got
wow.
across the road. Anyway, we were there about 3 days, and he got orders up to Brunswick, Maine.
Mm.
And we started out late in the afternoon, and we were in some place where the roads were like this, streets, and he decided it was time to stop. So I sat on the couch with him because I was sure we were gonna roll away. I don't know how I thought being on the couch was better than being in bed.
So he had a break-in service then?
No,
Yeah, he was out for about 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah,
Okay.
however much time you had, I think it was 90 days that you could
Mhm.
go back in and maintain
Okay.
the rate.
Okay.
Yeah, and I may be wrong about that. But
Yeah.
it was something like that. But anyway, on our way to Brunswick, Maine, we would start up a mountain, and the car would not go. So we would wait for a wrecker to come and pull us over the hill. And this probably only happened a couple of times, but in my memory, it's a lot more.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
That's the one that the movies that Gary put online were. That was the movies that Gary put online of him when I was little and him when he
it
was
was
little.
up in Brunswick,
Was up
Maine.
in Brunswick,
Yeah.
Maine. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys carry on.
I like Brunswick, but I got pregnant with you,
Mm-hmm.
and he was went to I have to stop.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. He was a tail gunner
Mhm.
to start with, and he made the deployment up to Newfoundland when I was pregnant with her. And when he came back in January, we take the trailer and we head for Oklahoma.
Wow.
But while he was there, you were in Ohio
Yeah,
with his parents.
yeah. I was in Ohio,
And I was born at the Air Force Base
in Ohio.
in Columbus, Ohio.
Right,
Yeah,
Patterson?
right, Patterson.
Okay.
No,
That's not right.
Lockbourne.
Lockport Air Force Base.
Okay.
In
They
Mills.
closed that a long
Yeah, it's
time
closed,
ago.
yeah.
But anyway, that's where she was born, and I did spend time with that.
Well,
I went over there, I'm thinking in May, and was there until after she was born.
and she was writing letters to Dad
Mhm.
talking about me, and her T's and her F's look really, he looked really similar to him, so she said, I'm going to name she wrote, I'm going to name the baby Terry Ann, and he read it as Fairy Ann, and said, whatever you do, don't name her that, don't name the baby that.
And by the time I got the letter, she
But
was
that's
born.
She's already born and
But
named.
you know
It's
what,
too
that's a
late.
funny thing to put it there.
Yeah, and,
That's
well, and
funny.
then, did you have some bleeding or some problems after that?
Yeah, Chuck came home, they gave him leave to
Give him
come
some
home,
big-
you know,
yeah,
that wasn't a real bad time of life. And, I wanted to go back up to Maine,
Mm-hmm.
and I started too soon in hemorrhage, so
Mm.
he turned around and took me back, and we went to the doctor, and the doctor said if you waited three more days, she'd be fine. So they contacted the military and got the extension, so
Right.
he took us back up to Maine
Mm.
and set the trailer up, cause it had been in storage. And then he went back to Newfoundland.
Wow.
So yes, go to Maine
That's a lot.
in the middle of winter with a newborn
Yeah.
and a 15-month-old by yourself and hang them diapers outside and freeze them.
Did anybody
Beat
see,
the ice off of them, huh?
did
Yeah.
anybody see the pictures, picture that
Yes,
was on
yes.
Facebook? Okay, what you didn't see was when I took those
Does anyone
diapers
not
off
want
the
strawberry?
line, they were frozen
I know you
stiff.
just want
And I
strawberries.
hung
I
them
just
on
want
coat
strawberries.
hangers and
Whipped
hung them
cream.
around the balances in the house.
I'll just take a few strawberries.
Oh my God,
You want-
so much work.
And people think they need washers and dryers
I
now.
know. No, and they have them, and they still complain that it's.
And they use paper diapers.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Oh
Couldn't
my
find us
God.
no.
So what, okay, so
Oh,
how long were you in
But he
Brunswick,
can't
Maine?
have
We left there in January,
Of,
and we went, we pulled
of
the trailer.
57?
Of
Don't
50,
worry.
yeah,
I should
57.
have brought.
Okay.
And we stopped in
Right.
Ohio and saw Grandma and Grandpa Ludwig, and then went to Oklahoma and left our trailer in Oklahoma,
Okay.
and drove out to California to see Grandma and Grandpa Bob. And we came back, and we were in Norman, Oklahoma for 5 or 6 weeks training.
Oh,
Wow.
okay, and you had your trailer with you?
We had the trailer, we pulled the trailer, we start out with the trailer, and it's raining, and there's tornado warnings.
Oh my.
And Grandpa had a toothache, and he stopped to go in the drugstore, and,
Thank you.
the people that lived along the street, of course, we're talking little towns like we drove through today, you know.
Right, yeah.
The people come out and knocked on the car window and said, there's a tornado headed this way, would you like to come in our storm shelter? And, it's probably not,
I'm just checking to make sure that
it's
it's.
an unknown number.
We
Anyway,
don't need to know the.
we went in the
Could've
storm,
been good for him. Do you want this? Do you want the whole one?
in a storm
just want
shelter
too
for a
much
little
just
bit.
I'm gonna give that to you, I'm gonna split this one with her.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
That's what it is, it's
Okay, so one, okay, so,
Okay, so we slept for a little, went back out and slept in the trailer for a little bit. And he had to be in Memphis, he had a deadline.
so you were on your way to
We
Memphis?
were, yeah, we
Okay,
were on to
okay,
go to
Okay.
school.
okay,
And we drove through water that was up as high as the floor of the trailer. When I think back on it, you know, it's amazing that we didn't drown. But anyway, we were there for 6 months. for
okay,
him
oh, okay, okay.
to become a radar technician.
Radar.
Radar, yeah, AQ. And, we went from there, by the time she was about 15 months old, we headed back to California.
Okay.
And we, at that point, Grandma and Grandpa Ludwig had come down and helped us buy a 45-foot
You got a big one.
bedroom trailer.
Okay, how wide was it?
It had 2 bedrooms.
I know,
And
but was it 10 feet wide? Or?
It was 8 foot wide.
Okay,
And
so you went
it
from,
was really nice.
Is
We
that the
had,
one?
The steel cabinets, which was the big thing back in that day.
Yeah.
Was that wasn't the one we went to Southern California, was
Yeah,
it? It was
yeah,
the same one,
yeah.
okay.
and it had a dishwasher, which didn't work very long, and I ended up washing dishes. But it also had a washer and dryer in it, which perfect.
The one,
It was
was
a
that the one-
combination washer.
was that the
dryer.
one that we had, the one that we lived
That's
in
the
when
one
we
we sold.
hung off the side of the mountain?
Yeah,
Okay.
anyway, you gonna stay over there?
Yeah, I'll just sit here.
Okay, we get out to California, and he's going to Moffett Field, and he goes, checks in, and his squadron is aboard ship. So, okay, we'll let you stay here, so you can get the trailer set up for your wife.
Mm-hmm.
So he went aboard ship and was gone about 6 months. And during the time he was gone, I decided it was time to get a driver's license. And fortunately, I had nice neighbors who were willing to go with me. So for the first time, I went and picked him up when he came home, because before somebody always had to take me.
Was that when you were potty training me?
Yeah.
When he came, and I said my daddy was gonna bring me a potty chair, or so, I think something,
Yeah.
okay.
But when her daddy came home, she was like your son. She didn't want anything to do with him, because she was probably 16 months old when he left and past 2 when he came back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I was I talking that plainly
oh,
when I
you
was
talked.
So
You
Laura,
never-
so Laura got, my oldest from this was talking in sentences by the time she was 18 months old.
Yeah.
And she never met a stranger.
And
We
she's
would go-
never quit.
No, she would go, when she was 2, we would go pick her dad, cause her dad traveled all the time. And we would go to the airport, and we're walking into Chicago, O'Hare.
Mm-hmm.
And she's telling people we're picking up her dad and everything about her life, because she thought they were her best friends. You wanna eat some of that? You wanna eat your cake?
I'm gonna go get a bottle of water.
Oh, yeah, get me my water. Yeah, get everybody a
Yeah,
water.
I'll be back.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
well, anyway, the upstart of this is when he came home, we got transferred back to Memphis.
Memphis?
Yeah.
Okay.
For B school.
Okay.
And I had gotten my driver's license probably 2 weeks before he came back. And he bought a pickup, and he put this one in the pickup with him. And he's pulling the trailer, and I have this one following him in the car. So that was my break-in driving. And I had
Did one of us open the door of the car as you're going down the road, or was that her?
and I do know how to change a tire, but I didn't know how to put the jack under. And these 2 guys stop, and I've got the jack. I knew I didn't have it in the right place, but I'm trying to figure it out, and they're laughing at this dumb woman, so they changed my tire for me. And I caught up with Chuck, and by that time, he's fit to be tied, because he doesn't know what's happened to us.
Back then, no
No cell phones.
Right. Where were you? Why didn't you do that? Well, how did you expect me to drive on a flat tire? But anyway, and one time on that same trip, I get out of the car and go look for him, and he's got him hiding down in the seat so I can't see him to scare me.
No, Dad wouldn't do anything like that.
No. Anyway, we're back to Memphis again.
And
And
how-
we
Wow. That's a travel.
Yes.
I'm laughing and skipping some, so guys, that's okay. Okay, then, okay, he did B school, and then, I'm trying to think.
How long were you there how long did B school last?
6 months.
So did you go from there to Virginia, back to?
Oh, that's what I'm thinking, we must have.
Debbie is
Yeah.
our little
Yeah.
rebel, or was our little rebel, so, cause she was born in Virginia.
Okay, so you were born here in
I was born in Ohio at Lockbourne Air Force Base, in Columbus.
Wow.
And she, when she was in labor with me,
Okay,
That
I'm
was a
wrong.
long drive
I'm
from
wrong.
Marion
No,
to
we-
Columbus.
we-
baby.
No, I'm wrong, we went from California to Norfolk, or to Virginia, actually, to Norfolk. Cause we drove clear across country, that was,
okay, so you weren't in Memphis at that
no,
point.
we were not in Memphis. We
So,
went to
okay,
Norfolk.
and Debbie was born in Norfolk, in
Right.
Virginia, and then you went to,
Then we
it
went to
Memphis, because we lived in that trailer park when she was a
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, we
Okay.
lived in the same trailer
Okay,
park that
okay.
we lived in.
So what state you live
Pardon?
born in?
I was born in Washington.
He was born in
Washington,
Washington, I was
okay.
born in Ohio, and Debbie was born in Virginia.
Oh,
And this
okay.
was all within 4 years.
Hey, did that?
And Charlie's in Ohio, right?
Charlie was born here in Ohio. It took him a long time to make, it took Charlie a long time to make up his mind to show up. He was a gleam in his father's eye for many years.
Okay. We got acquainted with Ellen and Don Danner when we were, since
And I
you
ain't
guys
that
were.
damn peanut, I ain't eating that damn apple butter either, I sure don't eat that
And
stuff.
yes, you are. And Don was such a gruff person, you know, I thought he was so rough on his kids, but he really wasn't. It was his tone of voice, right? I mean, didn't abuse the kids, but if you heard him tell them to do something, you'd think, my gosh, you know. Anyway, I also got acquainted with Rosemary, and I babysat with her. I'm still friends with her. I talk to her.
Now, how did you meet Rosemary?
She was living in the trailer park we were in, renting a trailer, and she had a little girl that was about 5 or 6 months old, and her husband decided he didn't want to be married, so she went to work and I took care of her daughter for her, and we became really close friends.
Did you meet her while she was pregnant?
No,
Who was the one you
I
said that asked if she was pregnant, or they said they
Oh,
were
it
carrying
was
it for
her. It was
Was that her
That's
next
for you.
baby?
No, that was her
No,
first
not
baby,
yet.
but that was when she
Discounted.
got out of high
you want
school
to-
and she was.
Oh, you're gonna drink
She
the
got
whole thing.
pregnant.
And then
And
he
she
was-
met the teacher that she'd gone to school with, and the teacher looked at her and said, "You look like are you?" Something about her looking like she was pregnant. She said, "I'm not." She says, "I'm carrying a girlfriend." But anyway, we became good friends, and she ended up going to work at a little food place where she was car hop basically, and ended up meeting her husband there.
Because she wasn't married when she
No,
had
she wasn't married at the time that I knew her, but she took care of my kids, you know, if I wanted to go someplace, and I babysat. I sometimes had 6 or 8 kids I was babysitting with, and Dad worked a second job because Dad did not make enough money for us to live on, you know, to be honest about it. My brother talked about what good time that was, but the military did not pay good. You know, it was.
Were there times back then when money got hit, when money would get held up and you would not get paid?
No,
Okay,
no, we
good.
did not go through
Well,
that.
you know, I got a kick out of it. I remember the conversation we had with Mom when she went to have Debbie? She's Mom said she was going, you were going to get our little brother or sister, and we said, well, can't you let Dad go get her?
That was you.
Yes,
that was you.
He was Gary is the king of
saying, first, let me tell you, he was about 4 years old, and we bought a Christmas present for the little neighbor boy. And I said, I put it up in the closet, and I said, Gary, don't tell him what you got him. Gary didn't tell him. He took him to the closet and showed him where it was. And you know, Chuck would have duty every
He's
fourth.
still doing these things.
Every 4th day he had duty. So we would eat, you know, different funds. We'd get together and eat dinner when our husbands weren't home. And we went to one neighbor's one night and we leave to go home. Fortunately, I didn't say anything in the house. And I said to Gary, why didn't you tell him thank you for the dinner? He said, because it wasn't good.
I want you to know, he's still doing this.
Anyway, when Debbie was born, that was the first baby Chuck got to take me to the hospital for. He was at home when this one was born, but he had taken my brother and gone fishing.
and she didn't wait for him.
Well,
Imagine that.
my aunt was
Right.
up from California, and I was going up to Vancouver, Canada. And I was at my mom and dad's waiting for everybody to get ready, and I went in the bathroom and I sat down, and I couldn't quit peeing. And I said, Mom, I can't quit peeing. And she said, you're going to the hospital.
Forget about Vancouver. Forget about Vancouver.
Right. That she was born. We're past that. Okay, a few months later, we're on our way again back to Memphis for B school this time. And we got acquainted with another family, the Kellys. They were also going to B school. They had bought a pickup to pull their trailer with, and we got together with this idea that Chuck and Kelly would pull the Kelly's trailer down. She and I would follow in the cars with our children, and we each had 3 children at least and a dog that were, and we start out and we don't see the guys and we don't see the guys, and finally it's getting dark. Because they started out ahead of us, and we decided maybe we better call the highway patrol. Well, we called the highway patrol, and they had made it maybe 50 miles and had truck trouble. So here we are with all these kids, and the highway patrol says, go get a motel, we'll find them. They didn't know, when we called them. We'll let you know in the morning. So we go rent one room in a motel and carry 6 kids and 2 dogs.
So you think I'm bad for sneaking Rico in? I didn't know where.
Well, the kids were, you were 5, 4, Debbie. How old were you when Debbie
At
was
that time, they
4?
were probably not
He was
allowed
four,
at
he was
all.
he was four, he was
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
there's 3
anyway, these 2 were maybe 3 and 4, 4 and 5, and then I had a baby. And she had 3 that were like 3 years and under.
Oh my goodness.
Because her kids were like
bang bang
bang, bang, bang. Well, anyway, we waited for the guys. They gave us a message. And so they got the truck fixed, and they make it up to where we are. Well, by this time, it's Thanksgiving Day. So we can't pull the trailer on Thanksgiving Day.
You have that in writing there, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But anyway, Chuck is driving the truck, and they come through town with them. We're narrow 2 streets, and the light poles kind of bit like that. And he takes out all the jealousy windows down the side of their trailer. Oh. So we got Thanksgiving dinner and spent the day, and by the end of the day, and it was time to go again, Kelly decided it's time to sell the truck and have the trailer pulled to Memphis. So we had ours pulled to Memphis
Is
too.
this happening in the winter time?
In the well, it was November.
Oh, yeah, but that's kind of cold.
Yeah, it was cold. Anyway, going back to this one, we go in and we're spending the night at their house, with all of these kids and all of us. And we're gonna give the kids a bath. And I said, come on, Gary, it's time for you to go take a bath.
How old about?
He was about 4 or 5. And he says, I'm not taking a bath in that filthy bathtub. And why it was so dirty was when they pulled it, the stuff that was in the pipes evidently came up, and it had been cleaned, but
He saw the.
he was my.
He was the one who knew the right thing to say at the wrong time.
He did.
The trade continues.
The story goes on. Anyway, we were at B school for 6 months, and then it's time to go back to California again. So we went to Miramar, which took me a long time to remember Miramar. What was the name of that base? And we moved the trailer up on a mountainside.
Yes.
And the back end of it was hanging off over a cliff.
And here, the trailer is like this, and the back of it's like this.
Anyway, and it turned out to be a really bad trailer park. I mean, it was a bunch of old people and drunks and that kind of thing. So we were looking for another place, and we found this little trailer park
Valley Center.
in Valley Park.
Valley Center, Valley Center, not Valley Park.
Valley Center.
Yeah.
Anyway, they needed a manager, so we became the managers.
And we were there for, how long were we there?
We were in the trailer park for a
Or
park.
that's
2
where
years?
that's where you killed my tadpole. I remember that.
Well, we played outside. One of our favorite toys was a mousetrap.
Yep.
soon as
We
they-
had, I don't know why we were so fascinated with them, I don't know.
Well,
but
it's 'cause you could buy them, they were 15 cents.
I thought they were cheap, I thought they were only 10 cents.
Well, maybe
But
10
we
cents.
played outside, and we had horny toads and lizards that we would catch and play with, fly kites. I mean, and there was a little store at the front of the trailer park, Mom, is that right? That had tadpoles
Well,
in
that was
the
a tire.
tank
Yeah, it was a
behind
test
it.
tank
That
for
was
the
a tire.
tires, yeah. For the
Yeah,
tires.
and now he brought those tadpoles home, and Mom's sewing machine cabinet is there, and he puts them on top of that, and it was getting.
the water all over my sewing machine, and I kept saying, get rid of them, and he didn't. And I opened the door and threw the jar out the door.
What kids?
I mean,
I would have did the same thing.
Well, and we had when we lived there, we kept those little tiny box turtles were popular for pets. So we would get 2 or 3. I guess we probably each had 2 or 3 of them, and and they had their little house. Their little house. Well, they'd get out and disappear. So after a while, after they disappeared, we get another one.
Sometimes they crawled
Well,
out.
I remember we moved in there, remember that little store brought all that stuff over to us, the baskets of groceries and stuff?
Oh, when we moved
in.
out of there.
Was it when we moved, I thought it was when we moved in
No,
there.
when we left, the people in the trailer park, it was a bunch of senior citizens, you
Yeah.
know, kind of like we are.
Well, but that was where Debbie when we were there. That was where where the Mexicans
Yeah,
families
Johnny
lived.
Joe.
Yes, she had a little boyfriend, Johnny Joe, and she would run. They would run naked through the trailer park.
Not naked.
Yes, they
No,
did.
they did
Debbie
not.
did. Yes, she did. You ask her.
Debbie did something and hurt her leg, and Chuck was overseas on ship. And I took her to the doctor because, I mean, I'd waited a week or more and she's still limping around, And the doctor looked at me and he said, but how did she do it? I said, I don't know how she did it. And I don't know what she did. I'm at the doctor's. But she'd stand at the window and she'd look out and she'd say, there comes my daddy. And she'd do this every day about time for him to come home from work. And this is freaking me out, So I took her down from base and I told the doctor what was happening because I wanted him to give her something. And he said, well, I'm not going to bring her daddy home and I'm not giving her anything. I said, then give me something. It's a wonder I didn't get in trouble because I've had a mouth on me.
But that was a pretty, and there was we had a doctor who lived in that
Yeah,
trailer
an
park.
osteopath.
An osteopath, and he drove this really cool little.
Well, he
I
used
think
to
it
come
was
see me when I had
a
scarlet
real
fever.
little convertible.
Yeah, a little MGA.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And so what did we get? Did we have chicken pox or did
I
we have
had
measles?
scarlet fever.
Scarlet fever was what was going around.
They all had scarlet fever. I had 3 kids, and Chuck was going in and out. They'd gone on short cruises and come back, and they're down sick with scarlet fever, and I can't go get them. So one of the chiefs that he worked for brought him home, which was a long way home because we probably lived 35 miles away from where he was working. But the thing was, there was always somebody. The one thing about being in the military, and I don't know if Matthew would think so if he comes back, or did he leave us?
I think he did leave.
I don't know, I don't think they
Anyway, the military helps each other, And this is what really happened to my kids. This is getting out of the line of the story, but when we moved to Ohio, they had always been in school where there were other military kids. And we took them from that to a farm area where kids might have not been out of the county, And it was hard for them to make friends. I don't know about Gary, because Gary was working. Gary was working very shortly.
Very
Yeah.
easy.
Well, I babied when we moved back here. I babysat Carrie and I babysat Bill, and Katie, and then there was the guy who the partner for the restaurants that our granddad had was Ludwig Kibbe, and Kibbe's was Dale his son?
Kibbe's son.
Okay, I babysat for his son and their wife, and they adopted a little black girl
They had a couple of boys, I think.
They had 2 boys and then they adopted a little one-armed girl. And so I babysat for them frequently. And I started working I was working at the car wash by the time I was 14.
Yeah, I remember when you knocked the gas pump over the highway patrol car, you remember that?
No, I don't.
I
Oh.
remember.
Was I driving it?
No, you remember we used to vacuum them out when
Uh-huh.
we gassed them up, and the door where the guy jumped out, and he left the car running, and you're in there vacuuming, and you hit the.
And we're
And we're on our way to Miramar. Okay. And anyway, he sent the kids and I out to my mom's, and Richard took the bus and came back to go with us. Cause everybody was always thinking I needed help. Anyway, he's pulling the mobile home out by himself, and he got as far as Arizona, and he had a flat tire. So he pulls off the side of the road, calls the company that moves trailers to have them, he's within probably 200 miles of where he's going. Tells them it's got a flat tire, they're supposed to come put another tire on it and tow it out, and then when we get there, we'll call them and they'll take it to the trailer park. And we spent
It's okay.
a few days at my mom and dad's, and we drive down to San Diego or down that area, and he calls to have the mobile home delivered, and they don't know anything about it. And this is like late afternoon. I mean, we'd been there long enough that we'd found a place where we could park it. They have no idea. So we get a motel room, and I'm sitting there thinking, everything we own is in that. I'll never remember if they don't find it, what we had in it. The highway patrol had picked it up and put it in a storage place. So the mobile home moving company the next day found it and brought it out. And that's where we lived, in the trailer park that was up on the side of a hill, and the back end of the trailer was hanging off the mountain. And this was during the time when they were doing testing spaceships. This isn't part of my story, but I'll throw it in.
Yeah, that's a very good
Anyway,
thing, yeah.
the spaceship went up, and it came down in the water. Well, I dreamed that it went up and got lost and didn't come out.
And
I
thus
was
began the
terrified.
Lost in Space
Lost
TV
in
series.
space. I was terrified of it. I still have no idea why anybody wants to go in space, but that's just me. Oh. Okay, then we looked for another place because that trailer park turned out to be bad, and ended up in a small park in Valley Center, and it was mostly retired people, but they had one space and needed a manager. So I think I got to this part last night. Anyway, it was probably about 25 park spaces in the park, and mostly old people who were very nice and easy to get along with. And there was an office building in front, for a real estate office and dry cleaners and that sort of thing. And I collected the rent from them as well as from the people in the trailer park, and we cleaned the office once a week. Ugh. And
That was the Nessas, wasn't it?
Huh?
The Nessas were the owner, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize they were the owners.
and
Okay.
he later on, well, we'll get to that later. Anyway, that was where Debbie had her little friend that was Johnny Joe.
Johnny Joe, yeah.
They were Mexican and spoke Mexican, that. And he was 4 years old, going to go to school the next year, and her husband said, "You need to teach him English." She taught him English. He learned very quickly and then refused to speak Spanish. Anyway, he and Debbie were in cahoots all the time doing something. One day I was out doing stuff around the trailer park, and Johnny Joe come running up to me, and he said, "Debbie's got the water running in the bathtub," and I'm a big deal, she's turned the water on. I go in the house a half hour later, and the water's greeting me running down the hallway. The plug was in the bathtub. Oh.
That was where we had the kittens. the mother cat carried her kittens and, carried her
Yes,
kittens
yeah,
inside,
well-
and one of them fell and dropped onto the floor.
Right.
And we,
Well, before that though, that Dad found a bunch of kittens somebody dumped over on the side of the road. And he brought them over to the house and sat them down, and one of the cats went underneath the kid's bed, where it was right by the bathroom and the hole going out below, you know, for the drainage and stuff. The cat got down in there and got stuck. So the only way to get the cat out from there was for him to go under the trailer, knock a hole, and in that underpinning, so he could get the cat out.
Oh my God.
And the cat, we ended up keeping one of the cats, and it had kittens outside, and brought them in through the hole and put them in the top bunk.
and one of them fell, and Debbie'd walk around, she'd say, with a kitten in both hands by its
Hey.
tails, saying, "Don't pick the kitten up by the tails. Mommy says, don't pick the kitten up by the tail."
Oh my God,
Oh.
this could be like
A TV
part-
series.
Yes, yes,
Oh.
it could be.
Life and times of the,
That's what I told,
the-
I told Matthew,
oh,
It would
let's
be,
just-
it would be an
right?
interesting story.
Yeah.
Remember Mr. Harlan?
Yes.
Nico,
Yeah, the Seventh-day Adventist, remember
no,
this,
no.
him cutting, or he caught Dad cutting the grass on Saturday? that
Yeah,
time?
he told Dad that,
That was the
go
Sabbath.
ahead, you can tell this
Well,
one.
he caught Dad cutting the grass on Saturday, and he was Seventh-day Adventist, and they believe that's the Sabbath, and that's the day you have to rest. So Dad very calmly explained to him that he was a Methodist, and we celebrate the Sabbath on Sunday. And, so anyway, Sunday comes, and Dad really didn't go to church that often anyway, but, he, was out fishing, and Mr. Harlan catches him. He said, "I thought you said that Sunday was your Sabbath." And he says, "You know, I got to thinking about it, you might be right."
Chuck went aboard ship again, went on a cruise to Japan, and
That was long, wasn't he gone 8 or 9 months or longer
Yeah.
for that one?
Yeah, they was gone, it seems like a long time. Well, I mean,
When you're the ones who get left behind, it seems like a long
Gary
time.
went up and spent the summer with my mom, and my mom spoiled him, but
no, she punished me unjustly.
he
for
went
routine.
out.
I know
She
you
got
said
after,
things
she
like
got after him about something, but he's talking about punished him unjustly. And he went outside, and laid outside in the yard all, you know, playing with his trucks out in the dirt. He came in and he said, "Grandma, were you ever punished unjustly?"
That, we were at Valley Center when Gary hosed down the
He,
living room.
he says this thing
Right.
is still.
Yeah.
Weren't we at Valley Center when
Yep.
Gary, this is a good one, Nellie, when Gary hosed down the house?
Oh, no, that was when we were at Moffett Field. My sister-in-law was coming to visit, this is backing up to when she was about 2. And I got the house all cleaned up. We could not hang clothes in our yard. We had a central clothesline you had to go hang up. I go over to hang clothes up, and Gary has brought the hose in and hosed down the living room of my house. My couch, everything is wet. And my sister-in-law comes in. I was so mad at him.
See, I've been doing this for a long time.
I did not
I
do
know.
anything,
He's still
because I was
doing
so
these
angry
things.
that if I'd have done something, I might have done the wrong
But
thing.
he's
And what
still
did he
doing-
tell you when you asked him why he did it?
He was hosing.
I wouldn't give him the chair, and he wanted the chair. Cause my dad had a there was a chair in there, and it was Dad's
And a
chair, and I
couch.
was in it, and I wouldn't get out, and I wouldn't give it to him.
Well, before that, he was up with my mom. The girls and I went with Chuck's aunt. She lived up close to Disneyland, or World, which is it?
Disneyland there, yeah.
Anyway,
Disneyland.
she had us come spend the weekend, and she and her girls took us to Disneyland. And we're walking into Disneyland, and Debbie's 5, maybe.
No, I was 5, Debbie was younger.
Anyway, Debbie sees this Mickey Mouse, and she walks up and touches it, and it moved, and about scared her to death.
So many stories.
Anyway. Chuck came back. The story goes on.
But now, were we still in the Valley Center for that cruise?
We are just about ready to sell the mobile home this morning.
Okay, so
Well, I
we're
remember
transitioning to
we
the
started
house.
to paint it. We started to paint it.
The mobile?
Yeah, remember Dad
I
had
bought the paint, but I
and
don't
you,
think.
no, Dad put a little, there was a little bit on the side of it.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it was a really pretty color, but we
Yeah,
never
we
get,
ended up using it on the
Ah,
house
you're
in
smelling
Escondido,
bad.
painted the shutters with it.
oh, okay.
Anyway.
What,
and
do
we
you
bought a
remember who
house.
the maker was of that what was the make of that trailer? Do you remember?
What rocket?
The trailer, the
It
trailer,
was a
what,
rocket,
ROCKET? And how big was it?
8x45.
Okay.
And we had, I remember our bedroom was in the middle. In fact, I lived in one just like that in Worcester.
Oh,
Did you?
really?
Remember, did you come over to see me when I had the trailer rented in Worcester?
I don't think so.
But it was identical to it,
Oh, really?
yeah.
It was a really good mobile home for that period of time.
The mobile homes were much better though. Okay, so, and what year was it?
What year was the mobile home?
Yes.
Well, we got it when you were 57.
Six?
Well, she was
have
probably
food.
about 8 or 9
Just
months
tea.
old, so we probably got it in 57. And I
He
don't
has
know
no
if it was,
food
I
for
think
you?
it was new, but I'm not sure that it was new. So, I just knew it was a lot
What
bigger.
what was the other one that
It
you
was
had
bigger than
before?
the 8x25, right?
Right,
No, that was an 8x32.
I don't know, 8 by 30.
It was 8x32 or 32.
Tito, and we paid around $10,000 for it, and Gary can tell you what it's worth now.
Well, when I looked at it, it's been 10 years ago, it was over $500,000. It had been converted, converted to a 1-bedroom, 2-bath house.
It was on
Yeah.
concrete slab,
A tiny house.
and it was a 3-bedroom, bath and a half.
But they turned it into a 1-bedroom, and I thought, wow.
It was probably only about 900 square feet.
$750,000 or something.
It was not big.
No, it wasn't big at all. It was a lot bigger than the trailer.
This is true. It's all relative.
Yeah, I had a room. I didn't have in the trailer, I just had a bunk and a drawer.
Well, we had a bunk too. We were the bottom, Debbie and I were the bottom half of that bunk, if you remember. I had
Yeah.
Which one gave you the most trouble? Making school.
Him?
Yeah.
I should have never asked.
He was always thinking,
Yes.
Oh, what
and what he didn't think of, Debbie did.
When he was
We
probably.
didn't leave anything for you to do bad, we did it all.
I
for you. You cheated.
spent my life
Middle child.
arbitrating between the two of you, keeping you from
I
killing
Oh.
each
didn't see
other.
that.
No, I used to have to protect you from Debbie, cause Debbie could beat the crap out of you. from
Debbie
the
could
time
beat
she
the
was
crap
4
out
years
of
old.
Debbie could beat the crap out of you too, though. When the two of you got going after each other.
I was at work, thankfully.
Smart woman.
Anyway.
I remember, Debbie on the leash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that was when we were
That-
visiting
Did he put
Grandma
her on
Hogg.
the leash?
And she
He
was
put
in a
her on the
harness,
leash?
it was a harness.
A harness?
That
So
they
it had a
used to-
leash with it though.
Well, we had
Well,
a,
they had her on the leash and it was tied to the tree. And she got out of the harness, she took it, got out of it and went for a walk.
we put it on her because my mom lived on a road that was really busy, and she was about 2, and she did not stop. So we put the harness on her and fastened her, and she got I don't remember getting off, but she picked up her little play purse and she was going to leave. She'd had enough of that.
Did you ever see the movie Please Don't Eat the Daisies with Doris Day?
I think I did.
The one where she's got all the kids and she's got the one little boy with the 2 playpens together
I think, yeah.
to keep him from
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
away.
yeah,
That would be Debbie.
Yeah. Oh my God. So it was
That was our
between
girl.
him and Debbie.
Pretty much.
You know,
Well, I
they were
remember the
trouble.
time Dad spanked Debbie and she passed out, remember?
Yeah.
The first time he swung.
She was about 3 or 4.
3, I think.
And he fenced the yard in because he was gonna be leaving. That's when we managed the trailer park. And he was gonna leave, and I said, but I need a yard to keep her in. So he goes out and fences the yard, puts her out in the yard, and she goes out and climbs over the fence. And he went out and picked her up and goes like this on her behind, sat her on the floor, and she passed out cold. We had to throw water on her.
She probably got scared.
No, she got mad. She got mad. She was not scared of
But
much.
he didn't spank her again. He was getting ready to leave, so he wouldn't have been there long enough to do it, but that didn't stop her mother from spanking her.
I have no food because you
Your
ate
kids were
everything
lucky,
today. You don't
Jesse,
have
I didn't
only
spank
for a
them.
cookie. Oh, I should
Emily
have not
bit
said
me
that.
Walking
See
through
how okay
Walmart.
I eat?
And
He
I
knows what
did
he
an
knows.
automatic
He
pop
knows.
on her, and then I felt so bad about it, because
I'm
she
gonna
was
stare you
steaming.
down,
I
Mom.
know.
Make you feel guilty. Is it working?
No, I think he's settling down now. He's done all the searching around the house. Yeah, we don't want to disturb you. Go ahead. If you're tired.
Okay, so
no,
so
if you're
we
tired,
were in the
I don't
house.
know
Where did we do
We were only in the house about a year, and Chuck got,
before we got
he went
transferred?
aboard ship again.
Okay.
And he was coming up for shore duty, I guess.
After that.
Yeah, after that, so I rented the house and
And-
stayed with friends for a
We were-
couple of weeks or a month,
It was
maybe.
longer than a couple of weeks, cause
Oh.
we watched, another
I
Navy
babysat-
family,
and
another
I
Navy
babysat
family,
for-
and we stayed with them. Do you know how many do you remember watching the horror movies?
Dad used to do that.
No, we did that when we stayed with those kids, with this
Wow,
family. We watched
I don't
probably,
know if they,
Well,
they were small
Dad used to
kids.
get me up when we were in that house, get me up in the middle of the night to watch Frankenstein and all those
Does that
old,
sound familiar, Charlie?
old black and white
What's that?
horror movies.
Dad
Yeah.
getting you out of bed
And
to
then,
watch
and
Periodically.
then when it was time for me to go to bed, he'd go out before and he'd go and hide in the bathroom when I come by.
he always did that. When we, yeah, he did always do that. When we were in Valley Center, do you remember the Valley Center days where we dressed up like pioneers as part of the school thing? The boys dressed up like cowboys and the girls dressed, and we dressed up in long dresses
Okay.
as part of what we did before we moved into
Escondido.
Escondido. Escondido, the thing I remember most is every time it rained, we would have the sidewalk would be covered with snails. And that's why I have never you say escargot to me and I say, when I was a little girl, I could have picked them up off the sidewalk and I didn't want them then and I don't want them now.
I remember getting up one morning in Valley Center and there was a big old snake on the porch. You remember that? And you called the guy what was his name? The guy that was kind of the caretaker that helped out around there?
Yeah,
I can't think of his name right now.
I can't either.
But you called him and he came and got it. But it was a big old snake. I don't know what it was.
Oh, there were a lot of rattlesnakes in that area.
Yeah.
People went out and hunted them.
And we
For
ran
the
around and
skins.
played all day.
Huh?
That's a wonder we didn't encounter any.
Well, we kept it mowed down around there. That
Yeah,
helped a
okay,
lot.
that was a nice place to live though.
It was nice, but anyway, after that, we went back up and stayed with my mom until Chuck got back.
How long was he on that?
I don't know, probably 6-7 months, I don't remember.
So did we go to school then?
No,
where
he
they
went
were?
back as an instructor.
No, when he was aboard ship that time, when you rented the house, did we go to school by where Grandma was?
Yeah,
Yeah, we went to Buckeye.
Did
Remember
we-
Buckeye School?
That,
Oh, I saw
okay,
that.
but
Yeah.
so we
I'm
would
sure
have,
you
we
did.
would have been, I was, second grade then.
you were in 3rd grade by that time.
No,
Yeah, 'cause
I was in,
I think I was in
third
fifth
grade
or
in
sixth.
Memphis, Mom.
No, I was
Memphis
in fifth. I was in 5th grade then.
Memphis was 3rd grade to 6th grade. I was only in 2nd grade, but I don't remember, how long?
Debbie was 4 years old when
Right.
we moved to Memphis, so.
Yeah, and that's right, so I
So-
would have been going on 8 and I was 2nd grade. But when we stayed with Grandma and Grandpa when he was aboard ship, did we,
You went to Buckeye School.
You went to Buckeye School?
I don't remember that school.
I do, I remember.
At all. I don't remember,
I remember I got in trouble.
Maybe
It
a
was funny.
timeline.
It was over something stupid, and it was right when Dad come back to visit or something. Well, you come back to get the trailer, remember that?
That was Cuba.
Oh, that was Cuban.
You're getting things
I'm
confused.
getting confused. That was
Buckeye,
later
no,
on,
he's,
yeah.
he's
Okay.
got his school.
But we did go to Buckeye for a while.
Okay,
For a few
okay.
months.
You went,
So,
you had
okay.
to be in school because we didn't leave and go back there until,
We moved.
well, we.
That would have
you
been
know
third.
something,
That would
you
have been
may not-
third grade. That would
You
have
might
been
not
third
have
grade.
been in school very long because they were still picking cotton in Memphis when we
Yeah.
moved in that house, but.
Well, I'll tell
We
you
moved,
what.
wasn't wasn't that
going
in
to
May or June, or it was in summertime when we moved to Memphis, wasn't it?
No.
well,
No,
going
it
to
was
school
fall.
in
Okay,
Millington
so it was later in the- okay,
severe
it was later
culture
in the
shock.
year.
I want to tell you.
Going to Memphis was, sure.
No,
because-
it was Millington. It wasn't even Memphis when we first moved there.
Millington is where we were, that first house,
Mumford.
Mumford,
where
yeah.
we rented the house was on the edge, cotton field was next to us, and we had hot and cold running mice.
And we used to have to burn the trash. I thought that was great.
Well,
I get to
the
go
bad
burn
thing
trash.
about it, the house hadn't been lived in and it was really a mess.
It was over, it was a
And
mess.
it
And
was
that
what,
we-
you know, what we could find, this was really our first move, that we ever didn't take our house with us. So it was a whole new experience to go have to look to rent a house, and Chuck would not live on base. He said, when I'm off work, I'm off work.
Oh, that was, okay, I wondered why we never
That-
lived on base.
And
Okay.
actually Matthew said the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Matthew
didn't.
said he would not, you know, he said only one time, and that was because there wasn't anything else available.
Okay, okay.
But
Did he get bothered all that much when you guys were in Cuba, like, cause you were living on base when he was off work?
Dad,
Yeah.
he was only there
Well-
for about 3 months before we joined him.
But my point being, he was living on base, was he
Well, he
bothered?
didn't have any
no,
choice.
actually, you know, the funny part of that is that base is divided into two parts, the airfield and the other, I actually guess ships do come into the
Yeah.
side we were on.
Yeah.
And he was on the airfield side, so when he came home, he left work and came home.
And came to the
Plus,
other
we weren't
side.
living in base housing, so he
Right.
didn't.
Yeah, we did not live in-
His commanding officer couldn't go complain if his lawn wasn't cut, and that's what he didn't want. He didn't want to have to deal with
He-
Okay, so when we went to Memphis, we rented you were in
yeah,
the house in Mumford, but we were only there for two or
We
three
were
months, for a couple
maybe there a
months
month.
before
that.
you.
You found the house, then you found the
And-
house in Fraser.
Yeah, we went looking for a house and we bought the house in Fraser that we went by and saw, and we took
Mhm.
pictures, and you
Right.
watched my pictures.
Okay, well,
The movie pictures, remember, we took them when
Okay,
that time we
okay.
went. This was, anyway, 20 years
and that
ago.
and that house had 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom.
One bathroom.
And Gary had his own room, and Debbie and I shared a room, and then Mom and Dad's room, a living room, dining room, and then kitchen.
And then Dad
And
went to
then
that
Dad
thing.
decided they were expanding the airport in Memphis, and was it free to tear down that thing and bring it?
I don't know if it.
They had houses that were
I
going to be
think
knocked down to expand the airport. So Dad decided he wanted to add on to the house. So he got a family room, and we went and knocked it down, took it apart,
No,
and brought. Yes,
we did
Yeah.
not.
Yes,
They
we
moved-
did.
We had it
Dad
moved in.
moved, yeah.
but we
had-
went and got
We
it ready.
did work on getting it
Yeah.
loose, and we also took down the garage,
Yeah.
moved the garage,
The garage got crushed in the snowstorm, remember?
yeah.
Yeah.
So Dad always had something for us to do. Anyway, he did get it added on to the house. It was, it was like front door, and then across here, and then it got added on to this side. And it was like a family room area. And I would have friends. I had friends over a few times, and I had friends over, and my dad and my brother are waiting outside in the middle of the night, hiding. And and all of a sudden they go roar to see how much they could scare us. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
But that's the kind of stuff that he did,
Well, I
egged
re-
on by his father.
I remember when he got the bicycles. Remember we got the bicycles? He
Yes.
came home from work one day and he started yelling at all of us, "Get out there! There's a bunch of trash in the front yard. Get out there and get it picked up." And he'd gotten
New
new
bicycles for all of
bicycles
us.
for us.
He was a mean dad, wasn't he?
Yeah.
not really a mean dad, but when he told us to do something, he expected us to do it.
Well, being in Memphis was really hard on your dad because the military was on his case about his weight, and being an instructor was a new difficult thing, I think, for him.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't see these things at the time, but you can look at him. Chuck was overseas before we moved to Memphis when two of them were real little, and he had a movie camera, and he took all these pictures. And the girl that lived next door to me was going out to the commissary, so I said, I'll take Chuck's film out and have it developed for him for Christmas. I come back and Gary had unwound it all. And I rewound it and I took it in, and when he got it back, he was fit to be tied, and I said, no, don't. He was, frustrated with Gary. I said, don't spank him, I already did.
And he was 2?
He was 3. When he was 2.5, he got in the refrigerator, and we used to get the bottles of vitamins for the kids with the eyedropper on it. He drank a bottle of vitamins while I was putting laundry in it, washing laundry and doing it. And
he was a busy boy.
He really was. I came back one day, one of the neighbors came after me because I had gone over to hang clothes up. This was all in the same trailer park. And he was outside with a hammer hammering on the light bulb by the door.
Oh.
You're suspect.
He's got stories to tell.
Yeah. He was just very busy,
Well, he's still, he's still like that.
He's still doing it.
He's still doing it.
And you put up with him. I'm really proud of you.
You could only have so many perfect kids, and you got me.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm sorry. You couldn't talk until I came along.